Today's Nectar of Devotion class. We'll start the class by chanting the Mangalacharan. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Ajnanatimmirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kada Mahyam Dadanti Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Gurum Shri Utapata Kamalam Shri Gurum Vaishnavamsya Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sagunatagnatham Vidam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadudam Parijana Saidam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sagana Lalita Shri Vishakham Vidam Sya He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandho Jagatpade Gopesha Gopika Kanda Radha Kanda Namostude Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Shrabhanu Sude Devi Pranamami Haripriye Vancha Kalpatarubhyacha Kripa Sindhu Bevaja Patidanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Namo Om Vishnuvadaya Krishna Prishtaya Budale Srimade Bhakti Vedanta Swami Nidinamine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Prajarine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaura Bhaktavranda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Om Tat Sat Hare Krishna. So എല്ലാവരും മലയാളം സംസാരിക്കുന്ന ആൾക്കാരാണ്. അതുകൊണ്ട് മലയാളം ക്ലാസ് ആക്കാൻ തോന്നുന്നു അല്ലേ? എന്താ പറഞ്ഞ?
ഇല്ല, അടുത്ത മലയാളിയാ. അല്ല, ഇന്ന് മലയാളം ക്ലാസ് ആക്കിയാലോ കൊതിയാവുന്നോന്ന് പറഞ്ഞത്.
പ്രഭു മലയാളത്തിൽ തുടങ്ങുമ്പോഴേക്ക് അവിടുന്ന് പരാഗ് പ്രഭു മെസ്സേജ് അയക്കും, പ്രഭുജി ഹരിബോൾ.
ഹരിബോൾ. അപ്പൊ കഴിഞ്ഞ ആഴ്ചത്തെ സിംപ്റ്റംസ് ഓഫ് എക്സ്റ്റാറ്റിക് ലവ്. The bodily symptoms manifested by a devotee in expressing ecstatic love for Krishna are called Anubhava. Practical examples of Anubhava are as follows: dancing, rolling on the ground, singing very loudly, stretching the body, crying loudly, yawning, breathing very heavily, neglecting the presence of others, drooling, laughing like a madman, wheeling the head and belching. When there is an extraordinary excess of ecstatic love, with all of these bodily symptoms manifested, one feels relieved transcendently. These symptoms are divided into two parts. One is called Sita and the other is called Shepana. When there is yawning, the symptoms are called Sita, and when there is dancing, they are called Shepana. So these symptoms can be, will be manifested in two extremes. Okay, when they are in ecstatic love with the Supreme Lord, they don't know what they are doing. They don't follow any ethics. Okay, there is nothing that they have to follow any rules and regulation. But this symptom can also be, manifested in people who are totally mad, who has gone out of their mental equilibrium, isn't it? If a person is mad, they will also, to a certain extent, some of these symptoms will be manifested in them also. But here, this is ecstatic love, what we are, okay? So that is a difference. So most of the inhabitants of Vrindavana, in different mellows, especially Sakhas and Sakhis, Gopas, Gopis, they will exhibit these types of, because that is called Anubhava. So they totally forget the atmosphere, the environment in which they are staying. Okay? So that is the transcendental mellows that they are, experiencing in ecstatic mood with Krishna. Isn't it? Am I right?
Okay. Prabhuji, one doubt, Prabhuji.
Yeah.
This yawning is only applicable during Kirtan or even in the class?
No, nothing. There is no particular rules and regulation. When they are in ecstasy, any such symptoms can be manifested in that person.
Hari bol, Prabhuji.
Okay. Yeah, that is okay. That is when we are feeling sleepy, also we'll have yawning and all. So dancing. While watching the rasa dance performed by Lord Krishna and the gopis, Lord Shiva beheld the beautiful face of Krishna and immediately began to dance and beat upon his small dindima drum. While Lord Shiva was dancing in ecstasy, his eldest son Ganesha joined him. Okay, dindima. So while watching the rasa dance performed by Lord Krishna and the gopis, Lord Shiva beheld the beautiful face of Krishna. So how could he get into this? How could Lord Shiva get into this rasa dance? As what?
Gopishwara?
Mahadev. Gopishwar Mahadev.
Gopishwar Mahadev. Haribol.
Gopishwara Mahadev. So that time, when Lord Shiva was dancing in ecstasy, his eldest son Ganesha joined him. So with family, they had gone there, I think.
Hari Bol.
Rolling on the ground. In the third canto, first chapter, verse 32 of Srimad Bhagavatam, Vidura inquires from Uddhava, my dear friend, is Akrura in an auspicious condition? Not only is he a learned scholar and sinless, but is also a devotee of Lord Krishna. He has such ecstatic love for Krishna that I have seen him rolling upon Krishna's footprints in the dust as if bereft of all sense. Similarly, one gopi gave a message to Krishna that Radharani, because of her own separation from him and because of her enchantment with the aroma of his flower garlands, was rolling on the ground, thereby bruising her soft body. So Akrura is also rolling on the ground, especially, Akrura is famous for which limb of devotional service?
Vandanam, Prabhuji.
Yes, Archana is very famous for Vandanam. Okay. So similarly, one gopi gave a message to Krishna that Radharani, because of her separation from him and because of her enchantment with the aroma of the flower garlands, was rolling on the ground, thereby bruising her soft body. Singing loudly. One gopi informed Krishna that when Srimati Radharani was singing about his glories, she enchanted all of her friends in such a way that they became stone-like and dull. At the same time, the nearby stones began to melt away in ecstatic love. So the animate become inanimate, the inanimate become animate by singing loudly. So this is the ecstatic love they manifested. Okay. So when Narada Muni was chanting the Hare Krishna mantra, he chanted so loudly that it was apprehended that Lord Narasimha had appeared. Thus, all the demons began to flee in different directions. So this is the ecstatic singing, the result of ecstatic singing loudly. Stretching the body. It is said that sometimes when Narada, the carrier of the Veena, remembers his Lord Krishna, in great ecstasy, he begins to stretch his body so vigorously that his sacred thread gives way. Crying loudly. A gopi once said to Krishna, my dear son of Nanda Maharaj, by the sound of your flute, Srimati Radharani has become full of lamentation and fear, and thus with a faltering voice, she is crying like a kurari bird. Which is this kurari bird? Any idea?
I don't know.
Yes? Okay, I don't know. Anyway, so it is described that by hearing the vibration of Krishna's flute, Lord Shiva becomes very puzzled and begins to cry so loudly into space that the demons become vanquished and the devotees become overwhelmed with joy.
Kurari bird, I think it is an osprey.
What is that?
Or like a hawk. Like,
Hawk. Acha, hawk. Oh,
yeah.
Seahawk, Prabhu.
okay. Yawning. It is said that when the full moon rises, the lotus petals becomes expanded. Similarly, when Krishna used to appear before Radharani, her face, which is compared to lotus flower, would expand by her yawning. Breathing heavily. As far as breathing heavily is concerned, it is stated Lalita, one of the gopis, is just like a Chataki bird, which only takes water falling directly from the rain cloud and not from any other source. In this statement, Krishna is compared to the dark cloud and Lalita is compared to the Chataki bird, seeking only Krishna's company. The metaphor continues to say, as a heavy wind sometimes disperses a mighty cloud, so the heavy breath from Lalita's nostrils caused her to miss Krishna, who had disappeared by the time she recovered herself. Neglecting the presence of others. As far as neglecting the presence of others is concerned, the wives of the Brahmanas who were performing sacrifices at Vrindavana left home as soon as they heard that Krishna was nearby, left their homes without caring of their learned husbands. Husbands began to discuss this among themselves. How wonderful is the attraction for Krishna that it has made these women leave us without any care. This is the influence of Krishna. Anyone who becomes attracted to Krishna can be relieved from the bondage of birth and death, which can be compared to the locked up homes that were neglected by the wives of the Brahmanas. In the Padyavali, there is a statement by some devotees, we shall not care for any outsiders. If they should deride us, we shall still not care for them. We shall simply enjoy the transcendental mellow of chanting Hare Krishna. And thus we shall roll on the ground and dance ecstatically. In this way, we shall eternally enjoy transcendental bliss. Drooling. As an example of the running down of saliva from the mouth, it is stated that sometimes when Narada Muni was chanting the Hare Krishna mantra, he remained stunned for a while and saliva oozed from his mouth. Everything is the symptoms of ecstatic love that the devotees have with Lord Krishna. So laughing like a madman. When a devotee laughs very loudly like a madman, it is done out of an extraordinary agitation of ecstatic love within the heart. Such mad laughing is an expression of the condition of the heart that is technically called attahasa. So everyone will be knowing and using this word also at home. Attahasa. When a devotee becomes affected with this mental condition, his love is expressed through the lips. The laughing sounds coming one after another are compared to flowers falling from the creeper of devotion that grows within the heart of the devotee. In the Chaitanya Charitamrita, devotional service to the Lord is also compared to a creeper that rises up to the lotus feet of Krishna in Goloka Vrindavana. So the creeper of devotional service reaches, those who are pure devotees of the Lord. Their bhakti, when it comes, when it gets nourished, it goes, pierces the material layers, goes to the spiritual world and takes shelter at the lotus feet of Supreme Lord Krishna. So wheeling on the head, one gopi told her friend, it appears that Lord Krishna, the enemy of the demon Agha, has released from his mouth a whirlwind which is acting on your head and is gradually proceeding to do the same to the other lotus-eyed gopis. Belching. Sometimes belching also becomes a symptom of ecstatic love for Krishna. There is evidence of this in Purnamasi's address to one crying associate of Radharani. My dear daughter, don't be worried because Srimati Radharani is belching. I am about to offer a remedial measure for this symptom. Do not cry so loudly. This belching is not due to indigestion. It is a sign of ecstatic love for Krishna. I shall arrange to cure this belching symptom immediately. Don't be worried. This statement by Purnamasi is evidence that ecstatic love for Krishna is sometimes manifested through belching. Sometimes trembling of the whole body and hemorrhaging from some part of the body are also manifested in response to ecstatic love for Krishna, but such symptoms are very rare, and therefore Srila Rupa Goswami does not discuss any further on this point. So these are different ways the devotees express or these symptoms manifest in the devotee's body when they have ecstatic love for Krishna or ecstatic attraction for Krishna. Okay. So any points or somebody wants to Elaborate more. Okay, so let us go to chapter 28. Existential ecstatic love. When a devotee is always intensely affected by love for Krishna in a direct relationship with him, or even a little apart from him, his status is called existential ecstatic love. The symptoms originating from such existential ecstatic love are divided into three headings, namely moist, burnt, and dried up. Most existential ecstatic love aroused in connection with Krishna is divided into two, direct and indirect. Radharani was weaving a garland of kunda flowers, and upon hearing the vibration of Krishna's flute, she immediately stopped her work. This is an example of direct moistened existential ecstatic love. Indirect moistened existential ecstatic love is described in the following statement. Krishna, who is also called Purushottama, is to the eyes of Mother Yashoda just like the cloud is to the eyes of the Chataki bird. When Krishna had been brought to Mathura, Mother Yashoda, being very anxious and angry, began to rebuke the king of Mathura. Burnt existential ecstatic love is divided into three. And one example is as follows. One day, Mother Yashoda was dreaming that the gigantic demon Putana was lying on the courtyard of her house, and she immediately became anxious to seek out Krishna. When there are manifestations of ecstatic symptoms in the body of a non-devotee, these are called dried up symptoms of ecstatic love. The non-devotees are actually materialistic, but in contact with some pure devotees, they may sometimes manifest some symptoms of ecstasy. Devotional scholars call these dried up symptoms. There are 8 symptoms of existential ecstatic love: becoming stunned, perspiring, standing of the hairs on the body, faltering of the voice, trembling of the body, changing of bodily colors, shedding of tears, and devastation. The scientific explanations of these 8 symptoms is given by Rupa Goswami as follows. When the vital force of life is in contact with the earth, one is stunned. When the same force comes into contact with water, there is the shedding of tears. When the same force comes into contact with fire, there is perspiration. When the force comes into contact with the sky, there is the complete devastation. And when that force comes into contact with the air, there is trembling, failing of the voice, and standing of the hairs of the body on the body. Just we will read through. We can't explain anything on this matter. Okay. These symptoms are sometimes manifested internally and sometimes externally. The pure devotee always feels such symptomatic expressions within himself, but being afraid of outsiders, he does not generally manifest them externally. Becomes stunned. The symptoms of being stunned is caused by ecstatic tribulation, fearfulness, astonishment, lamentation, and anger. This symptom is exhibited by stoppage of talking, a stoppage of movement, a feeling of voidness, and an extreme feeling of separation. When Uddhava was describing Krishna's pastimes to Vidura, he said, one day the gopis became stunned when Krishna, in the dress of a gardening maid, entered the greenhouse and enlivened them with joking and laughter. Then when Krishna left the greenhouse, the gopis were seeing Krishna so ecstatically that it was as though both their minds and eyes were following him. These symptoms signify that although the gopis' business was not finished, they had become stunned with ecstatic love. Another example of being stunned took place when Krishna was surrounded by various wrestlers in the sacrificial arena of Kamsa. His mother Devaki then became stunned and her eyes dried up when she saw Krishna among the wrestlers. Devaki was Krishna's natural mother. To protect Krishna from Kamsa, Vasudeva brought him to Yashoda in Vrindavana, where he exhibited his childhood pastimes. Later, he returned to Mathura and vanquished Kamsa. The incident referred to here. There's also an example of the astonishment of Lord Brahma. It is explained in the 10th canto, 13th chapter, verse 56 of Srimad Bhagavatam, that when Brahma understood that this cowherd boy was Supreme Personality of Godhead himself, he became stunned. All of his sensory activities stopped when he saw all the cowherd boy again along with Krishna. Lord Brahma was so stunned that he appeared to be a golden statue with 4 heads. Also, when the residents of Vraja found that Krishna had lifted Govardhana hill with his left hand, they became stunned. Astonishment caused by lamentation was exemplified when Krishna was entering into the belly of the Bakasura demon, and all the demigods from higher planets became stunned with lamentation. Similar example of becoming stunned was visible in Arjuna when he saw that Ashwatthama was attempting to release his Brahmastra at Krishna. The Brahmastra was a nuclear weapon controlled by mantra or sound vibration. So that times Brahmastra is equal to the present time nuclear weapon. But unfortunately, the present time they cannot control these weapons with mantras. Those days it was controlled by chanting Vedic mantras. Perspiring. An example of perspiring because of jubilation is described in Srimad Bhagavatam. One gopi addressed Radharani thus, "My dear Radharani, you are rebuking the sunshine unnecessarily, but I can understand that you are perspiring only because of your becoming too lusty at seeing Krishna." Perspiration caused by fearfulness was exhibited by Raktaka, one of the servants of Krishna. One day, Krishna dressed himself just like Abhimanyu, the husband of Radharani. Abhimanyu did not like Radharani's association with Krishna, and therefore when Raktaka saw Krishna in the dress of Abhimanyu and thus mistook his identity, began to strongly rebuke him. As soon as Raktaka finally understood that it was Krishna in the dress of Abhimanyu, he began perspiring. This perspiration was caused by fearfulness. So this Abhimanyu is not the Abhimanyu of Arjuna's. This is Abhimanyu to whom Radharani got married. Okay. Perspiration due to anger was exhibited by Garuda, the eagle who is the carrier of Vishnu. Once the heavenly king Indra was sending torrents of rain over Vrindavana. Garuda was observing the incident from above the clouds, and because of his anger, he began perspiring. Standing of the hairs on the body. The standing up of hair on the body was manifested when Mother Yashoda found within Krishna's mouth all of the universal planetary systems. She had asked Krishna to open his mouth wide just to see whether he had eaten dirt. But when Krishna opened his mouth, she saw not only the entire earth, but also many other planets within his mouth. This caused a standing up of the hair on her body. The standing up of hair on the body resulting from jubilation is described in the 10th canto, 30th chapter, verse 10 of Srimad Bhagavatam in connection with the gopis engaged in the Rasa dance. During this Rasa dance, Krishna disappeared all of a sudden with Radharani, and the gopis began to search him out. At that time, they addressed the earth and said, "Dear earthly planet, how many austerities and penances you must have undergone to have the lotus feet of Krishna always touching your surface. I think that you must be very jubilant because the trees and plants, which are just like hairs on your body, are standing up so gloriously. May we ask, when you first got these symptoms, have you been enjoying this jubilation since you were touched by the incarnation Vamana or since you were delivered by the incarnation Varaha?" Krishna would sometimes perform mock fighting along with the cowherd boys. When Krishna blew his horn in this mock fighting, Sridhama, who was on the opposing side, felt his bodily hair stand up. Similarly, when Arjuna saw Krishna in his gigantic universal form, there was a standing of the hairs on his body. So anybody want to share something? Or shall we go ahead? Go ahead. Okay. Faltering of the voice. When Krishna was going to Mathura on the chariot driven by Akrura, Yashoda and all the gopis came to try to forbid him to pass and to block his way. At that time, Radharani was so perturbed that in a faltering voice, she requested Mother Yashoda to please stop Akrura. Faltering of the voice resulting from wonder was exhibited by Brahma. It is said in Srimad Bhagavatam, 10th canto, 13th chapter, verse 64, that after bowing down before Lord Krishna, when Brahma began to rise, he prayed to the Lord in a faltering voice. So this is after the Brahma Vimohan Leela. When he understood that Lord Krishna, this little boy, is none other than the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So he started speaking or praying in a faltering voice. In the 10th canto, 29th chapter, verse 30, another example of faltering of the voice was exhibited by the gopis when they came to Krishna desiring to dance with him. Krishna asked them to go back to their husbands and homes. The gopis apparently became very angry and began to talk to Krishna with faltering voices. So when Krishna, played the Venu, flute, all the gopis got attracted. So they forgot everything. They left everything, husband, children, mothers, mother-in-laws, everything, all the relatives, and ran to Krishna. When all of them reached Krishna, Krishna asked, why did you come? They said, you called us. That's why you came. Okay, you came and you saw me. Now you go back. So that time they were so sad. They started speaking to Krishna in a faltering voice. In the 10th canto, 39th chapter, verse 56 and 57 of Srimad Bhagavatam, a faltering voice due to jubilation was exhibited by Akrura when he was shown all of the Vaikuntha planets resting within the river Yamuna. When Akrura understood that Krishna was the Supreme Personality of Godhead, he bowed his head to Krishna's lotus feet and with folded hands began to pray in a faltering voice. There are also examples of faltering of the voice caused by fearfulness. One of Krishna's friends praised him thus, my dear friend, your flute was given to your servant Patri, and when I asked him to return it, he began speaking in a faltering voice and his complexion became yellow. Trembling. When Krishna was trying to capture the demon Shankha, Radharani began trembling out of fearfulness. Similar trembling of the body was exhibited in Sahadeva, the younger brother of Nakula. When Shishupala was vehemently blaspheming the Lord, Sahadeva began to tremble out of anger. Trembling of the body was also exhibited by Radharani out of tribulation. Radharani trembled as she told one of the gopis, don't joke with this disappointing boy. Please ask him not to approach me because he is always the cause of all grief for us. Changing of bodily color. Sometimes, due to great agreement caused by the dealings of Krishna, the body changes color. The gopis therefore address the Lord thus, dear Krishna, due to separation from you, all of the denizens of Vrindavana have changed their color. And because of this change of color, even the great sage Narada was thinking of Vrindavana as a white island in the ocean of milk. When Krishna and Balarama were present in the arena of Kamsa, Kamsa's body changed color. Similarly, Indra's face changed color when he saw that Krishna was protecting all the denizens of Vraja by lifting Govardhana hill. If the color change takes place due to excessive jubilation, the hue turns red. Because such a change of color is so rare, Srila Rupa Goswami does not further discuss this point. Tears. Out of jubilation, anger or separation, there may be the pouring down of tears from the eyes. When such tears are very cold, they are due to jubilation, and when they are due to anger, the tears become hot. We know that, when we are in happy, the tears also comes, santosha ashru, right? So that time, if the tears, that is cold, And when we are in anger, the tears that comes out of our eyes will be hot. So in all cases, there is a severe movement of the eyes, and the eyes generally become reddish. There's also an itching sensation that causes the sufferer to rub his eyes. When the lotus-eyed Rukmani, the first queen of Krishna in Dwaraka, was shedding tears out of ecstatic jubilation, she did not like the tears. There's a passage in the Harivamsa wherein Satyabhama begins to shed tears because of a great affection for Krishna. An example of shedding tears because of anger was exhibited by Bhima when he saw that Shishupala was insulting Krishna in the Rajasuya arena of sacrifice. Bhima wanted to kill Shishupala immediately, but because Krishna did not order him to do so, he became morose with anger. It is described that there were hot tears covering his eyes as a thin cloud sometimes covers the evening moon. In the evening, when the moon is slightly covered by a thin cloud, it looks very nice. But when Bhima was shedding tears on account of his anger, he also looked very nice. In the 10th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, 60th chapter, verse 23, there is a nice example of Rukmani shedding tears of lamentation. When Krishna and Rukmani were talking, Rukmani became frightened of separation from Krishna, and therefore she began scratching the earth with her red lotus-like nails. Because she was shedding tears, the black ointment from her eyes was dripping, along with the tears onto her breasts, which were covered with kunkuma powder. Rukmani was so aggrieved that her voice was choked up. Devastation. When a person is confused by simultaneous happiness and tribulation and does not know what to do, this state of confusion is called pralaya or devastation. In this condition of pralaya, one sometimes falls down on the ground. All the symptoms of ecstatic love become manifest. When the gopis were searching after Krishna, and all of a sudden he came out from the bushes and creepers, all of them became stunned and almost senseless. In this state, the gopis appeared very beautiful. This is an example of pralaya or devastation in happiness. There are also instances of pralaya in distress. One such example is described in the 10th canto, 39th chapter, verse 15 of Srimad Bhagavatam, wherein Sukadeva Goswami tells King Parikshit, "My dear king, when the gopis were missing Krishna, they were so much absorbed in meditation upon him that all of their senses stopped functioning and they lost all bodily sense. It was as though they had become liberated from all material conditions." Degrees of ecstatic symptoms. Out of the many ecstatic symptoms of the body, the symptom of being stunned is especially significant. According to the degree of being stunned, the vital force within the body becomes agitated, and due to such a state, the other ecstatic loving symptoms sometimes become altered. These transcendental ecstatic symptoms gradually develop, and in the course of such development, they are sometimes called smoky, sometimes called blazing, and sometimes called shining. These 3 degrees are experienced for many, many years, and they extend to different parts of the body. Unlike the shedding of tears and faltering of the voice, the condition of being stunned is spread all over the body. Shedding of tears and faltering of the voice are simply localized symptoms. The shedding of tears, however, sometimes makes the eyes become swollen and whitish, and sometimes the lenses of the eyes become differently focused. Faltering of the voice may sometimes cause choking in the throat and extreme anxiety. As the different symptoms of these ecstatic manifestations are localized, they are accompanied by different local reactions. Example, when the throat is choked up because of a faltering voice, there may be a sound like gura. Such sounds choke the voice, and with extreme mental anxiety, they may be manifest in different ways. All these symptoms are listed under the dried up existential condition known as smoky, and they are exhibited in different ways. Sometimes, while participating in ceremonies celebrating Krishna's pastimes or in the society of devotees, there is dancing ecstasy. Such sentiments are called blazing. None of the above symptoms can be manifested without the basic principle of strong attachment for Krishna. In the smoky condition of such ecstatic expressions, the symptoms could otherwise be hidden. This type of symptoms was experienced by the priest Garga Muni, who was performing some ritualistic ceremony in the house of Nanda Maharaja. When he heard about Krishna's killing of the Akasura demon, there were some tears visible in his eyes. His throat was trembling, perspiration covered his whole body. In this way, the priest Garga Muni's beautiful face assumed a nice condition. When several such ecstatic symptoms are visible, the condition is called blazing. For example, one of the Krishna's friends told him, "My dear friend, as soon as I heard the sound of your flute from within the forest, my hands became almost motionless and my eyes became full of tears. So much so, in fact, that I could not recognize your peacock feather. My thighs became almost completely stunned so that I could not move even an inch. Therefore, my dear friend, I must acknowledge the wonderful vibration of your transcendental flute." Similarly, one gopi said to another, "My dear friend, when I heard the sound of Krishna's flute, I tried to hide myself from the reaction of the vibrations. But still, I could not check the trembling of my body, and therefore all of my friends in the house could detect my attachment for Krishna without any doubt." When the ecstatic symptoms cannot be checked and they simultaneously appear in 4 or 5 different categories, this stage of ecstatic love is called shining. An example is cited in this connection that when sage Narada saw Lord Krishna standing before him, his body became so stunned that he stopped playing on his veena. Because of his faltering voice, he could not offer any prayers to Krishna, and his eyes filled with tears. Thus, Narada's ability to see Krishna was also obstructed. When similar symptoms were manifest in the body of Srimati Radharani, some of her friends criticized her. "Dear friend, you are blaming the aroma of the flowers for the tears in your eyes. You are rebuking the air for the standing of the hairs on your body, and you are cursing your walking in the forest for your thighs being stunned. But your faltering voice reveals the cause to be different. It is just your attachment for Krishna." Srila Rupa Goswami remarks that when various symptoms becomes manifest very prominently, the devotee's condition may be called the brightest. For example, a friend of Krishna addressed him as follows: "My dear Pidambara, because of separation from you, all the residents of Goloka Vrindavana are perspiring. They are lamenting with different words, and their eyes have become moistened with tears. Actually, all of them are in great confusion. There is a supreme symptom of ecstatic love, which is called Mahabhava. This Mahabhava expression was possible only in Radharani, but later on, when Sri Krishna Chaitanya appeared to feel the mode of love of Radharani, he also expressed all the symptoms of Mahabhava. Sri Rupa Goswami says in this connection that when the symptoms of ecstatic love become the most bright, the stage is accepted as Mahabhava. So this symptom is exhibited only by Radharani. So even in that 9 ladders we talk about, from Shraddha to Bhava, there is no Mahabhava for normally, but this after Bhava there is still Mahabhava in various grades, various degrees. So this Mahabhava is exhibited only by Radharani. That is what Rupa Goswami says here, and that is called the most bright stage. Srila Rupa Goswami further analyzes the ecstatic loving expression into 4 divisions, which are called Satyugha Bhasa. Sometimes impersonalists who are not actually in devotional service may also exhibit such symptoms of ecstatic love, but this is not accepted as actual ecstasy. It's a reflection only. For example, sometimes in Varanasi, a holy city for impersonalist scholars, there may be seen a sannyasi crying from hearing the glories of the Lord. Impersonalists also sometimes chant the Hare Krishna mantra and dance, but their aim is not to serve the Lord. It is to become one with the Lord and merge into his existence. Rupa Goswami therefore says that even if the reactions to chanting are manifested in the impersonalist body, they should not be considered to be symptoms of actual attachment, but reflections only. Just like the sun reflected in a dark room through some polished glass. Chanting of Hare Krishna, however, is so nice that transcendental that it will eventually melt even the hearts of persons who are impersonalists. Rupa Goswami says that the impersonalist symptoms are simply reflections of ecstatic love and not a real thing. Sometimes it is found that when staunch logicians, without any trace of devotional service and without actually understanding the transcendental glories of the Lord, sit down to hear the glories of the Lord, they appear to be melting and shedding tears. In this connection, there is statement by a devotee who addresses the Lord thus: My dear Mukunda, I cannot properly express the glories of your pastimes. Even when the non-devotees hear of your glorious pastimes, they become affected and shed tears and start to tremble. Such non-devotees are not actually melted, they are hard-hearted. But the influence of the glories of the Lord is so great that even the non-devotees sometimes shed tears. Sometimes it is found that a non-devotee who has practically no taste for Krishna and who follows no rules or regulations can by practice make a show of devotional symptoms. Even crying in an assembly of devotees, this shedding of tears is not actually an ecstatic loving expression. However, it is done simply by practice. Although there is no need to describe these reflections of ecstatic love, Rupa Goswami gives some instances where there is no actual devotional service and such expressions are manifested. So, so Rupa Goswami, just for our understanding, is explaining even non-devotees and impersonalists also, to a certain extent, expresses sometimes these symptoms, but we should be careful. It is not because of love to Krishna or not for devotional service to Krishna. This can happen even to impersonalists to a certain extent. It is called reflections. Even non-devotees are also sometimes expressing this, but it is not out of love of Krishna. So these differences, we'll have to understand. A pure devotee, out of natural love for Krishna, these symptoms are manifested in their body. Whereas for others, since they have no love to the personality of Krishna, sometimes it may be a show off, sometimes it is a reflection, as it is in the case of the impersonalist. Hare Krishna. So next